Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Right Here, Right Now, live Buffalo football talk presented by Forefathers Organics. I'm your host, Alex Brasky, here for the Batavia Daily and Livingston County News. Each week, we'll discuss Buffalo's favorite football team, along with all the comings and goings from Orchard Park, and in this case, Kansas City, the site of tonight's AFC Championship game. Thanks to our friends at Forefathers Organics in Dansville.
Unlock the power of nature with Forefathers Organics, your premium CBD store. We offer the highest quality CBD and hemp products to liberate your mind, body, and soul, helping you live happy and free. Our mission is driven by excellence and transparency, using cutting-edge scientific methods to combat stress and target issues at their source. From potent ingestible CBD to soothing topicals, all our products are USDA certified organic. Discover all natural wellness from farm to table. Visit forefathersorganics.com for more information.
All right, just a tough end to a phenomenal season for the Buffalo Bills here tonight at Arrowhead Stadium. A back-and-forth game, a seesaw battle of epic proportion. It always seems to be a classic between these two teams, and boy, did tonight not disappoint. Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes going toe-to-toe. The Bills' defense picking up the slack in the second half. But in the end, it wasn't enough, as the Bills had to battle through some tough calls from the officials and obviously some phenomenal play from Mahomes and the Chiefs, as the Bills fall short of a Super Bowl berth once again. And they look forward to a long offseason filled with a number of questions that are likely to center around the personnel and the head coach. We look at the stats from today's game. It was very even on the scoreboard, 32-29, your final score. The Bills trailed 21-16 entering halftime, but the Bills outscore the Chiefs 13-11 in the second half and end up losing by 3. 2 failed fourth down conversions by the Bills in the second half really proved to be the difference. And the first of which, very controversial. 2 calls I thought very controversial in this game. Not saying the officials necessarily cost the Bills the game in this one, but it's just troublesome. Week after week, we have to witness the officials making game-changing, career-defining, and life-changing calls for that matter. Josh Allen going into this game needing a win to really change the narrative surrounding his career. Sean McDermott needing the same. And this game coming down to a couple of calls late, maybe not both calls late in the game, but one of which late in the game that really cost the Bills. You look at the potential 4th-and-1 conversion for Josh Allen. He struggled in short yardage today. He was stopped 3 times on 3rd or 4th-and-1. He was stopped for no gain, and 1 time he was actually sacked for a loss. So 4 times stopped in short yardage, and that's not typical for Josh Allen, one of the best players in the NFL in short yardage. But on this particular play, it appeared for sure that Josh Allen had gotten the first down. You had one official coming in from the Bills sideline, seemingly giving Allen the benefit of the spot past the line to gain. But of course, the official coming trotting in from the Chiefs sideline gives the Bills the poor end of the spot. They go to the review, and on the review, although you couldn't see the ball clearly pass or get to the line to gain due to a Chiefs player's helmet being in the way and blocking the ball, if you look at the replay, it was clear that the ball reached the line to gain. And I guess the crux of this conversation just centers around the NFL and their reluctance to really live up to their commitment to the integrity of the game. An organization with all means at their disposal. They claim they leave no stone unturned. A billion-dollar organization. These players making millions of dollars. The executives making millions of dollars. Thousands of fans showing up to each game in person. Millions of fans watching the games around the globe. and we can't get these games officiated in a correct way. It just seems to me that having old men sauntering in from the sideline, trying to spot the ball while blinded by the quarterback's back, as the side judge was in this circumstance, the side judge that happened to give the poor spot on the play, completely blocked by Josh Allen on the play to make matters even worse. So I just thought it was a poor call in that situation, one that led to a turnover on downs, gave the Chiefs the ball back, and we all know what happened at the end of the game as Dalton Kincaid comes up with the dropped pass, and the Bills lose by 3. More on Kincaid later. But the other play that I thought was ridiculously called, the deep ball to Xavier Worthy, who, boy, is he proven to be a much better player than Keon Coleman in his rookie season. And I know Keon Coleman dealt with injury, and we'll discuss that later. But the deep ball down the right sideline, I forget who's fighting with him down the right side. Maybe Kyrie Elam on that play after he came in for Christian Benford, but they both go up for the ball. Clearly, both players are fighting for possession, and the ball touches the ground upon both players hitting the turf. And upon the replay, they call it a catch. I just can't understand for the life of me some of the calls that these officials make in these games. But hey, when it comes to the Kansas City Chiefs, they seem to get the benefit of all these calls in the postseason. We'll look at the final numbers today. I don't think it was too lopsided in terms of total penalties. 6 for the Bills, 5 for the Chiefs. So not too bad when you look at the total number, but when you look at the poor calls put forth by the officials in terms of those bang situations, the try on the 4th and 1 for Josh Allen, and then the deep ball down the field to Xavier Worthy, incorrect calls, both of them. In my opinion, they go against the Bills, and what a shock, they go in favor of the Kansas City Chiefs. And now Kansas City punches its ticket to its 3rd straight Super Bowl, as they're the first team in NFL history to win 2 straight Super Bowls and attend a 3rd straight. They can become also the first team in NFL history to win 3 straight Super Bowls. So kudos to the Chiefs. They deserve to win this game. I'm not taking anything away from them by any means. I thought Patrick Mahomes was absolutely phenomenal in this game, especially extending plays with his legs on 3rd down, able to keep drives alive that ended in points, and really helping his team in that form. Scored 2 touchdowns on the ground. He's not known for his rushing ability, but he always seems to turn it up come postseason time. 11 carries, 43 yards. He also had 245 yards through the air on 18 of 26 passing and a touchdown. Isaiah Pacheco notch in this game. Kareem Hunt, 17 carries for 64 yards and a touchdown. So not a high average yards per carry for the Chiefs offense, but they seem to get big gains when they needed it most. Kareem Hunt's longest gain of 12 yards, Mahomes' longest gain of 12 yards, and then they had Xavier Worthy contributing 2 rushes each of 8 yards in length. So you have to give all the credit in the world to the Kansas City Chiefs. I thought Steve Spagnuolo outcoached Joe Brady in this game. Joe Brady turning down the Saints head coaching job leading into this game, and it just wasn't his best game. I thought the Bills were out of sync throughout the game, and not only his fault, I thought Josh Allen also out of sync, dropping that snap, the first drive of the game, nearly throwing that interception, missing a few targets down the field. Dalton Kincaid having another poor game and a bust of a season. You had Khalil Shakir making a minor impact, but not able to get free on those screen passes as he's typically able to. Really, your main target in the passing game was Mac Hollins, and another no-show from Keon Coleman. So give the Chiefs all the credit in the world, but a couple of questionable calls that I thought played a critical role in this game. And we have another long off season in front of us as we're set to deal, like I said, with the questions that are sure to swirl around Sean McDermott, and maybe a little bit lesser so Josh Allen and Brandon Beane. And I guess I'll start there. I brought up Brandon Beane during the game just to the fact you look at his past 3 top draft picks, Dalton Kincaid, Keon Coleman, and forgive me, Kyer Elam, all 3 not making an impact down the stretch run this season. Kincaid at times having decent games. Coleman seemed to be gaining some momentum early in the season, then dealt with some injury and really fell off a cliff toward the end of the year. Couldn't contribute whatsoever, really turned into a one-trick pony that the Bills just seemed to launch the ball to down the field. You saw that one play near the end of the game, near the end zone, where they just had the shot, the dark fade to Coleman in the end zone. You haven't seen that all season, and in that big of a spot, I'm not sure of the play call there. But when you look at Brandon Beane and what he's built in Buffalo, there's tons of room to be impressed. And by no means am I undermining what Brandon Beane has done for this franchise. He's done a phenomenal job. But when you look at the top end of the draft and what he's been able to accomplish there, especially in recent seasons with his past 3 picks in Kyer Elam, Dalton Kincaid, and Keon Coleman. Keon Coleman obviously being the second rounder and the first 2 being first rounders that being traded for. Just all 3 not making a big enough impact when it matters most. And when you look at Kincaid, 2 critical drops in this game, and that was a problem for him all season long. The biggest drop of them all being that drop on the 4th and 5 down the field, a broken play, a play he had to come back for, but a play that he said needs to be a catch, and it hurts right now, but I guess it's going to be something he has to move on from because he's going to be a key part of his offense for years to come. Was supposed to be really the centerpiece of this offense this season. That never took hold. The everybody eats thing was great, but Dalton Kincaid, I thought, a real bust of a season this year, and I'll take a little bit of pressure off Keon Coleman just due to the fact that he dealt with some injury, but time's up on Kyer Elam. You have to move on from him. There's no longer a circumstance where you can enter the season with him as your number 3 cornerback, somebody that you may need to count on in a game like this. 2 defensive penalties in this game, helping push Chiefs drives even deeper into Buffalo territory. Just poor performance from Kyer Elam since he's been on the field for the Bills. It's officially time for Buffalo to move on from Kyer Elam. All right, we'll take a quick break and we'll round out this quick podcast from outside here at Arrowhead Stadium. A little bit chilly before, like I said, I hightailed on out of here. We'd like to thank our sponsor, Forefathers Organics in Dansville.
Unlock the power of nature with Forefathers Organics, your premium CBD store. We offer the highest quality CBD and hemp products to liberate your mind, body, and soul, helping you live happy and free. Our mission is driven by excellence and transparency, using cutting-edge scientific methods to combat stress and target issues at their source. From potent ingestible CBD to soothing topicals, all our products are USDA certified organic. Discover all natural wellness from farm to table. Visit forefathersorganics.com for more information.
All right, another topic that is sure to swirl is how much blame is to be placed at Sean McDermott's feet. And I don't know how anybody in their right mind could blame Sean McDermott for this loss. You look at what his defense does in the second half. They come out, force 2 straight punts of the Chiefs, and then the field goal forced late in the game to give their team a chance to take the lead. There's no room to blame Sean McDermott in this game. I don't think there's much room really to blame any player except for maybe Dalton Kincaid for that bad drop at the end of the game. I thought this was just a phenomenal game all around that, sure, both teams showed signs of weakness in the course of the game, but when you look at it all in all, I thought both teams' best players came to play. And when you look at maybe the disappearing act from Dalton Kincaid, Keon Coleman not doing much, maybe some things to point to, but I'm not sure there's a whole lot of significant blame to go around for this one. And like I said, especially for Sean McDermott, a tough first half, but his defense gets the turnover as they have been throughout the course of the season. And then during the second half, you get those first 2 stops to lead things off, and then you force the field goal late in the game. So I think the defense puts the offense in position to win this game. It just wasn't the offense's best day. I didn't think Joe Brady had his best stuff. And like I said, just the short yardage really killed the Bills today. That 4th and 1 that, like I said, I thought should have been a conversion, but they just made it too close in too many of those circumstances, something that they had been great at all season long, and watching them struggle time and again in this game was certainly troublesome to watch. But if you ask me if this Bills defense without Taylor Rapp would hold Travis Kelce to 2 receptions for 19 yards and they would lose this game, I'll tell you what, I'd be surprised. Xavier Worthy leads the way in this game, 6 receptions, 85 yards, and a touchdown. And the jury's out as far as this rookie season is concerned. Xavier Worthy is far more the effective player than Keon Coleman. He gets involved in the running game as well. He was, in a sense, the engine for this Chiefs offense outside of Patrick Mahomes here this evening, and certainly some egg on Brandon Beane's face in that regard in the short term, as Keon Coleman finishes the game with 1 reception for 12 yards, and Worthy outdoes him by quite a bit here and making quite the impact, and now he's headed to the Super Bowl. So, and it's not only that. I talked about it in the broadcast leading into this game. The additions that the Chiefs made this year to their receiving core really worked wonders. Hollywood Brown, 3 receptions, 35 yards, coming back from injury, and then Juju Smith-Schuster, who a lot of people left for dead, 2 receptions for 60 yards, 1 for 31 deep down the field, the other for 29. So a lot of good from the Chiefs offense in this game, and it really started with Worthy, who, like I said, is proven to be the better player than Keon Coleman in his rookie season. What else was I going to talk about? I had one other topic that I wanted to touch on. Dalton Kincaid that I wanted to touch on. It wasn't only the drop in this game that was disappointing from Dalton Kincaid. You look at his season early in the year, it was easy to say that defenses were keying on him, but as the season went along, there was not the same level of gravity pushed Kincaid's way by opposing defenses as there was at the outset of the season. He was given room to roam downfield. He and Josh Allen never seemed to be on the same page. Also, like I said, Kincaid dropping passes as well. Just a bust of a season for Kincaid. People projecting him to go for over 100 receptions, over 1,000 yards, and not even close to that for Kincaid. He finishes this game 2 receptions for 13 yards on 4 targets. And I think both of the targets that wound up on the turf were drops from Kincaid. He finishes this season 44 receptions, 448 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Just a terrible year for Dalton Kincaid. You can call it a sophomore slump. You can call it whatever you want. I think it's beyond a sophomore slump. One of the focuses this offseason from this Bills offensive staff, which will fortunately be headed by Joe Brady once again in his second year as full-time offensive coordinator, you got to find a way to get Dalton Kincaid involved. Or perhaps this is what Dalton Kincaid is. Maybe he is just a middle-of-the-road tight end. You see tight ends like Sam Laporta, Brock Bowers doing great things for their teams. Meanwhile, Dalton Kincaid, 44 receptions on the season. So you need a lot more from Keon Coleman. I know injuries played a role. Same thing with Dalton Kincaid, a little bit of a knee injury there midway through the season, but both of them on the field more often than not and not contributing more often than not for this Bills offense this season. In this game against the Kansas City Chiefs, I thought the offensive line got abused. I thought Chris Jones really wreaked havoc on the inside, and that blew everything up for this offensive line. I thought they intimidated them from the opening snap, and it really brought Josh Allen back to his old days when he was running for his life on every given down. I thought he was very uncomfortable, and you got to give Kansas City's defensive front a lot of credit, getting that penetration, flushing him from the pocket, pushing him back in the pocket, and forcing him to get the ball away quickly and throw over outstretched arms, which led to a few overthrows on Josh Allen's part as well. So just all in all, this game, an impressive performance from the Chiefs' defensive line. I thought they really made an impact, headlined by Chris Jones, especially in those short yardage situations. That must have been a significant concentration for he and this team coming into this game. And boy, did they win that battle. And that helped the Chiefs win this game. One arrow up that I have in this game, you got to give Tyler Bass his flowers. He really finished the season strong for the Bills, knocked through a 53-yard field goal in this game in the raucous crowd of Arrowhead Stadium. So very encouraging for Tyler Bass moving forward. But when it comes to special teams coordinator Matthew Smiley, it's time to move on. You give up another huge return that leads to points in this game. Far too many big plays from opposing special teams units throughout the season. It's time to move on from Matt Smiley. I understand loyalty. I understand hard work. By no means am I advocating for him to lose his future in the NFL, but it's just not working out here in Buffalo, and I think it's time to move on from Matthew Smiley. But I think that's pretty much going to do it from this game. I also gave a few final thoughts on X, on a video from the field as confetti was falling, fireworks were bursting through the air, Chiefs friends, family, and players running through the bowels of the stadium, celebrating, the cheerleaders celebrating with one another. This is my first look at an AFC Championship victory, albeit looking at it from covering the losing team's perspective, but it just makes me think what that moment would be like for not only Bills fans, but the players that have invested so much time, for Sean McDermott, who's invested so much time and effort, Brandon Beane, who's invested so much time and effort. Boy, I think this franchise is due. I think they deserve it. I think they deserved it here tonight. Just didn't make a few of the plays that they needed to make. And in the end, the Kansas City Chiefs, once again, were forced to watch them in the Super Bowl 2 weeks from now. But I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in to the podcast all year long, from training camp on forward all the way to the AFC Championship game. We lost AJ along the way. It's turned into me going solo. It's my first time ever doing a podcast. I've really enjoyed it. It's helped me spread my wings and learn a little bit more about the game and how to talk about it. And I appreciate all of you bearing with me and enjoying the ride as I have this season. So before I enjoy my 15-hour ride back to Batavia, I'd like to thank you for joining me, and we'll see you next time.